Have you ever wondered where we as human beings come from? Our journey stretches back millions of years with twists and turns that reveal a fascinating story of human evolution and adaptation. Today, we embark on an exploration of Africa and the origins of humanity. A voyage that unveils the roots of our very species. Africa, a land of immense beauty and rich cultural heritage. A continent teeming with life and diversity, holds the key to unlocking the secrets of our past and the mysteries of our early ancestors. This land cradled the first members of our lineage, from small tree-dwelling primates to our earliest bipedal ancestors. Indeed, the continent has witnessed the incredible journey of humanity like no other. Throughout this journey, we'll delve into the fossil records, uncovering the stories etched in bone and stone. Join me as we delve into the archaeological wonders of Africa, where ancient fossils and tools reveal the remarkable footsteps of our earliest kin. From the discovery of Lucy in Ethiopia to the ancient rock art of the Sahara Desert, Africa's contribution to our understanding of humans' origins are profound and awe-inspiring. But why focus on Africa? We focus on Africa because this continent is not just a geographic location. It is a crucible of human evolution and innovation. It is where our ancestors took their first steps, crafted their first tools, and laid the foundations of civilizations to come. Have you ever wondered how early humans thrived in diverse environments across Africa, from dense jungles to arid deserts? Or how ancient civilizations like the Egyptians pioneered monumental architecture and advanced technologies? Your guess is as good as mine. Join me in celebrating Africa's role as a cradle of humanity, where innovation, creativity, and resilience shape the course of our collective journey. Are you ready to explore the ancient wonders of Africa and the origins of humanity? If so, do not forget to hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and join our community of fellow classical history enthusiasts. Be prepared to be transported back in time. Get ready to meet our early relatives, understand the forces that shaped us, and appreciate the remarkable journey that led to the emergence of Homo sapiens, modern humans. This is Africa and the origins of humanity. It is a celebration of our shared heritage. Subscribe, stay curious, and let us unveil the wonders together. My name is ddocansey Jr. I am a senior member of the Department of Philosophy and Classics, University of Ghana. I am not just an academic. I am a passionate explorer of the classical world, a forward-thinking educator, and a catalyst for change in the realm of classical studies. With an unwavering commitment to my vision, I bring the wisdom of the Greco-Roman civilizations into the modern era, igniting curiosity and challenging conventional thinking. But most importantly, I am your guide on this fascinating adventure. And I couldn't be more elated to have you all here on this channel. Today, I am happy to introduce you to this episode of the lecture series that will take you on an unforgettable journey through time. Welcome to the civilizations of the ancient world. Now, I know you might be thinking, why should I be excited about ancient civilization? Well, fasten your seatbelt, because this episode is more than just a stroll down memory lane. It's a mind-blowing exploration of our roots, our stories, and the echoes of the past that shape our present. It is worth noting that the main source material for this episode is from the book entitled Ancient Civilization, published by Kofi Aka in 2010. Welcome once again to this captivating journey to explore the very cradle of humankind, Africa, and the origins of humanity. Here, amidst the vibrant landscapes and the diverse ecosystems, lies the answer to a fundamental question: where did we come from? For millions of years, Africa has served as a stage for our remarkable evolutionary story. It is a story etched in the fossils, whispered by the ancient landscapes, and revealed through the power of genetics. We will delve into the rich fossil records, examining the remains of our earliest ancestors, small tree-dwelling primates who gradually transformed into bipedal human beings. Our journey will traverse vast stretches of time, witnessing how our ancestors adapted and thrived in a constantly changing environment. Climate shifts, evolving ecosystems, and the competition for resources all played a crucial role in shaping our evolution. We will explore how these pressures fostered the development of key adaptations like tool use, upright walking, and the beginnings of complex social structures. But the story does not stop with our early ancestors. We would also delve into the emergence of Homo sapiens, our modern human lineage. This pivotal moment marked the rise of complex language, advanced tool creation, and the ability to adapt to diverse environments. This exploration will not be complete without acknowledging the ongoing debate surrounding human classification. We will examine the evidence that suggests a shared African ancestry for all humans, regardless of race or ethnicity. Understanding our interconnectedness is a crucial step in appreciating our shared humanity. Throughout this journey, we will utilize various tools, from examining fossils and analyzing DNA to exploring archaeological sites and studying environmental changes. By piecing together these fragments of evidence, we will gain a deeper understanding of the remarkable journey that led to the emergence of modern human. So get ready to walk in the footsteps of our ancestors, to unlock the mysteries of the past, and to celebrate the incredible story of our origins, a story that began in the heart of Africa. This is where we will discover not just where we came from, but also who we are. So I am hoping that by the end of this particular episode, you should be able to trace the evolutionary journey from ancient primates to modern humans. You should be able to investigate fossil evidence and genetic similarities supporting the African origin of humanity. You should be able to explore the distinctive feature that differentiates humans from other primates. You should also be able to analyze the migration patterns of early human ancestors and their impact on genetic diversity. And finally, you should be able to examine the cultural and technological advancement of early humans. So subsequently, I would attempt to do the following concurrently. I'll be tracing the primate evolutionary path. I'll be attempting to decode fossils and genes for the African ancestry argument, and I'll also try to distinguish human traits from other animals and map early human migrations, and finally trace the cultural and technological innovation of early humans. Before I begin to answer the question, where did human beings come from? I think it would be appropriate to place the whole discussion in context for us to have a better understanding of how come we are making some premises in support of the conclusion that Africa is the origin of humanity. It is important to note at this juncture that living organisms are complex systems that share certain characteristics, and these characteristics differentiate them from non-living things. The first characteristic I'll be talking about is the made of cells. All living things are composed of cells, and these cells are the basic unit of life. Even single-celled organisms like bacteria carry out their vital functions within a single cell. So all living organisms are composed of cells. The second characteristic of living organism is organized structure. Living organisms have a hierarchical organization, with cells forming tissues and tissues forming organs and organs working together to form systems in order to enable the living organism to perform complex functions. So living organisms have organized structure. The third is metabolism. Living things or living organisms require energy to function and grow. They take in nutrients from their environment and break them down through a series of chemical reactions. And these chemical reactions is what has come to be known as metabolism. And it enables them to extract the energy. This energy is used for various activities like growth, movement, and reproduction. The next characteristic of living organisms I'll be talking about is homeostasis. Living organisms maintain a stable internal environment, and this is known as homeostasis. Even when external conditions fluctuate, the living organism will maintain some level of stable internal environment. And this includes regulating factors like temperature, like pH, and blood sugar levels. The next is growth and development. Living things grow and develop through their lifespan. They can involve an increase in size, change in form, or a differentiation of cells into specialized tissues. The next is reproduction. Living organisms can reproduce to create new individuals, ensuring that there is some form of continuity in their species. Reproduction can be sexual or asexual. The next is adaptation. Living things have the ability to adapt to their environment over time. This can occur through inheritance of genetic traits that improve survival and the reproduction in a particular environment, or through individual adjustments in behavior. The next is response to stimuli. Living organisms can sense and respond to stimuli from their environment, and this allows them to interact with their surroundings and environment and to avoid danger or even find resources. There are times that viruses come into the discussion as to whether they are living organisms or not. So while viruses are often included in the discussion about life, they blur the line a bit. They share some characteristics of living organisms, like reproduction, but they lack others, such as their own metabolism and the ability to maintain homeostasis. Whether or not they can be classified as living organisms is an ongoing topic or debate that scholars are trying to reach a consensus on. Now that we know what living organisms are or living things are, I think it will be important for us to note how these living things or living organisms are classified. So classifying living organism is a science, and this science is known as taxonomy. What then is taxonomy? It is a way to organize the vast diversity of life into hierarchical systems based on shared characteristics. And this system grouped organisms into kingdoms, and these kingdoms were based on one, cellularity. Are they single cells or multi-cells? The composition of the cell wall. Is there a presence or absence of a cell wall? Nutrition. How do they obtain food? Is it through photosynthesis, absorption, or ingestion? So based on these, living organisms have been classified. But let me quickly brief you on how far we've come in this whole classification process. There is what we call the early systems, and these early systems occurred pre-18th century. Classifications during this particular era were rudimentarily often based on superficial similarities like size and habitat. Then around the 1800s, we were introduced to a binomial nomenclature of systems for naming species using a two-word Latin naming convention. So we have what we call the Canis Familiaris for dogs. And this is still the foundation of modern scientific naming. And once again, we see the relevance of classics in contemporary times. It is called the Carolus Linnaeus. Then around 1969, we had a breakthrough where classification was done into 5 main kingdoms. It is called the 5-kingdom system of classification. And this system provided a more comprehensive framework based on cellular and nutritional characteristics. While the 5-kingdom system was a major step forward, it did not fully account for evolutionary relationships between organisms. Advancements in understanding these relationships led to the development of what we call the six kingdom systems. What then is a six kingdom system? This six kingdom system acknowledges the distinct evolutionary path of archaea and refines the classification further. The six kingdom system is widely accepted today as compared to the previous systems of clarification. But the clarification is an ongoing process. So it is possible that in future we can have a different system of classification. So as we discover new organisms and learn more about their evolutionary relationships, the system may be further refined or expanded in order to capture the nitty-gritties when it comes to classifications. At this point, I'd like to elaborate more on the six system classification of living organism. The sixth kingdom classification is a biological classification that expands upon the traditional five kingdom system proposed by Robert Whittaker in 1969. This system was developed to better reflect the diversity and evolutionary relationship among living organisms. The sixth kingdom classification includes the following kingdoms. The first I'd like to talk about is kingdom Plantae. The Plantae kingdom comprises multicellular eukaryotic organisms that are autotrophic, meaning they produce their own food through photosynthesis. Plants use sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to synthesize carbohydrates and play a vital role in ecosystems as primary producers. Habitats of Plantae are terrestrial environments. Examples include trees, grasses, and even mosses. The next kingdom under the sixth kingdom classification is fungi. The fungi kingdom includes eukaryotic organisms that obtain nutrients through absorption, primarily decomposing organic matter. The fungi, such as mushrooms, molds, and even yeast, play essential roles in nutrient cycling, in decomposition, and in symbiotic relationships with other organisms. Their habitats include terrestrial environment, and some even form symbiotic relationships with plants. The next kingdom I'll be talking about under the sixth system of classification is Protista. The Protista kingdom encompasses diverse eukaryotic organisms that do not fit into other major kingdoms like the kingdom Animalia, like the Plantae, and the kingdom Fungi. This group includes protozoans, amoeba, algae, and even slime molds, which exhibit a wide range of structures, lifestyle, and ecological roles. The nutrition of Protista are diverse and includes phototrophs, that is using light for energy, heterotrophs, that is ingesting other organisms, and even mesotrophs, that is combining photosynthesis with ingestion. Habitats of Protista are mainly aquatic and even some terrestrial environments. The next I'll be talking about is kingdom Bacteria or Monera. The kingdom Bacteria or Monera consists of prokaryotic organisms, especially bacteria, and these single-celled organisms lack membrane-bound organelles and nuclei. bacteria are diverse in shape, are diverse in metabolism, and even ecological roles, playing a crucial role in nutrient cycling, symbiotic relationship, and even disease processes. Their nutritions are also diverse, includes chemotrophs, that is obtaining energy from chemicals, phototrophs, that is using light for energy, and some are even parasitic or symbiotic. They are extremely widespread when it comes to their habitat and are found nearly in every environment. The next is the archaea, or the kingdom archaea, and it comprises the prokaryotic organisms known as archaea. Archaea exhibit distinct biochemical and genetic characteristics compared to bacteria and are often found in extreme environments such as hot springs, acidic environments, and even DC vents. They play an important role in biogeochemical processes and contribute to microbial diversity. The last but not the least I'll be talking about is the kingdom Animalia. But I think I'll pay more attention to it in my next submission. So these 6 kingdom system of classification provide a more comprehensive framework for classifying living organisms based on their evolutionary relationships, based on cellular structure, and even based on ecological roles. It recognizes the diversity and complexity of life on Earth beyond the traditional 5 kingdom classification, highlighting the interconnectedness of organisms and dynamic nature of biological classifications. Do not forget that we are looking at a very important topic, which is the origins of humanity. And as I earlier on indicated, I wanted to place the whole discussion in context for us to have a better understanding of how we are making our conclusions based on the premises we have given. As earlier on indicated, I'll be paying some attention to kingdom Animalia. The kingdom Animalia is a major biological kingdom that encompasses a diverse range of multicellular organisms with distinct characteristics. According to Hickman et al., the kingdom Animalia is a taxonomic kingdom within the domain of Eukaryota, comprising multicellular organisms that are heterotrophic. That is, they obtain nutrients by consuming other organisms and typically move about during at least some stage of their life cycle. Animals exhibit a wide variety of body plans, of size, and ecological roles, ranging from microscopic invertebrates to large vertebrates. The kingdom Animalia is characterized by several key characteristics. The first I'll be talking about is what we call multicellularity. Animals that fall under the kingdom Animalia are composed of multiple cells, which is organized into tissues, organs, and systems. The second characteristic I'll be talking about the kingdom Animalia is heterotrophy. Animals that fall have been classified under the kingdom Animalia obtain their energy and nutrients by consuming other organisms, be it plants or animals, or even both plants and animals. The second is movement. The animals that have been classified, or living organisms that have been classified under the kingdom Animalia, are capable of some form of locomotion, whether it is crawling, whether it is swimming, whether it is flying, or whether it is even walking. They have some form, or they perform some form of locomotion. The next is the diverse body plans. Living organisms under the kingdom Animalia exhibit a wide range of body structures or forms, from simple radial symmetry to complex bilateral symmetry. Organisms that fall under the kingdom Animalia also reproduce. Most reproduce sexually, although some species may also reproduce asexually. Sexual reproduction typically involves the production of specialized reproductive cells that fuse to form a zygote. The next is developmental stages. Living organisms that fall under the kingdom Animalia undergo distinct developmental stages, such as embryonic development, such as larval stages, such as metamorphosis. And it is important to note that understanding the kingdom Animalia plays a major role in our quest to answer the question, where did human beings originate from? And it's also essential for understanding of the biodiversity, for the understanding of the evolutionary relationship, for our understanding of the ecological interaction, and our understanding of the structure and function of organisms within this diverse group of kingdom classification. The next appropriate thing to do in our quest to contextualize the discussion on the origin of humanity is to spend some time on how the kingdom Animalia has been classified. As earlier on indicated, the kingdom Animalia is a major taxonomic group within the domain of Eukaryota. It encompasses a vast diversity of multicellular heterotrophic organisms that exhibit various forms of locomotion, complex organ system, and specialized adaptations for survival. The classification of the kingdom Animalia is based on several hierarchical levels, including phyla, classes, orders, families, genera, and species. And I'd like to look at them in detail. By phylum, what do I mean? This phylum is the first level of classification within the kingdom Animalia. The phyla are major groups of organisms that share fundamental body plans and developmental characteristics. Examples of the phyla within the animal kingdom include the chordata, which includes vertebrates, arthropoda, which includes insects, mollusca, which includes snails and squids, and annelida, which includes segmented worms. The next is class. Below the phylum level, animals are further classified into classes based on additional anatomical, physiological, and even behavioral characteristics. Classes represent groups of related organisms that share some common features and evolutionary history. Examples within the phylum chordata classes include Mammalia, which are mammals, aves, birds, reptilia, reptiles, amphibia, amphibians, and ray-finned fishes. The next is order. Classes are subdivided into orders, and these orders represent more specific groupings of organisms with a shared traits. Others may reflect variations in body structure, in feeding habits, in reproductive strategies, and even ecological natures. So, for instance, with the class Mammalia, others include primates, carnivora, rodentia, and even toed ungulates. The next is family. Others are further divided into families, and these families consist of closely related genera that share some common ancestry. Families often share similar morphological and genetic characteristics, but with more specific variations. Examples of families include Felidae, which are cats, Canidae, which are dogs, Hominidae, which are the great apes, and even Equidae, which are horses. The next is genus. Families are composed of genera, which are groups of species that are closely related and share a common evolutionary lineage. Genera are often characterized by distinct anatomical features and genetic similarities. For example, the genus Panthera includes species such as lions and tigers. The last but not the least of the classification of the kingdom Animalia is species. The most specific level of classification is the species. A species comprises individuals that can interbreed and produce viable offspring under natural conditions. Each species is uniquely identified by its scientific name, consisting of genus name followed by the species name. So, for example, we say Panthera leo for lions. The classification of the kingdom Animalia reflects the diversity and the evolutionary relationships amongst multicellular organisms with complex body structure, diverse behavior, and even specialized adaptation for survival in various environments. It is also important to note that some classifications may include additional levels, but that is not the focus of this particular presentation. Of what relevance is this classification to this whole discussion? The hierarchical system of classification under the kingdom Animalia provides a standardized way to organize and study the vast diversity of animal life. It enables us to, one, identify and name new species. It also helps us to understand evolutionary relationships between different animal groups. And it also helps us to predict characteristics and behaviors based on animal classification. This general overview and the specific number of names associated with the various levels may vary depending on the type of classification that the individual intends to use. However, the kingdom Animalia is characterized by the phylum, the class, the order, the family, the genus, and the species. Now we are coming to the main crux of what we have been wanting to do all this while. Where does the human being fall in this whole classification of living organisms? In the classification of living organisms, humans are characterized within the kingdom Animalia class Mammalia, order Primates, family Hominidae, genus Homo, and species Sapiens. Here is a breakdown of what it means. Human beings belong to the animal kingdom, which includes multicellular, heterotrophic organisms with complex body structures and diverse behaviors. And based on this, the human being is classified under the kingdom Animalia. Why is the human being classified under the class Mammalia? Within the animal kingdom, humans are classified under class Mammalia along with other mammals, and these mammals are characterized by features such as mammary glands for nursing their young, hair or fur which covers their body, and a warm-blooded metabolism. Within the class Mammalia, humans are further classified into the order Primates, along with other primates such as apes, monkeys, and lemurs. Primates share characteristics such as grasping hands, forward-facing eyes, and complex social behavior. Humans belong to the family Hominidae, also known as the great apes family. This family includes humans, which is Homo sapiens, chimpanzees, bonobos, gorillas, and even orangutans. Within the family Hominidae, humans are further classified under the genus Homo, which includes extinct species such as Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis, and others. The genus Homo is characterized by traits such as upright bipedal locomotion and increasing brain size. Finally, human species are classified under the species Sapiens. The species name for modern humans is Homo sapiens. This species designation distinguishes modern humans from other extinct species within the genus Homo. So all in all, we can say that humans are placed within the broader classification of animals, specifically as a member of the primates order and the hominid family. This classification system helps scientists and researchers to understand the evolutionary relationships and the biological characteristics that humans share with other living organisms, particularly within the context of our mammalian, primate, and hominid heritage. Another legitimate question I think we should be asking ourselves is, what is the role of this human classification to the whole discourse of the origins of humanity? The classification of humans within the broader context of the animal kingdom or kingdom Animalia, specifically mammals, primates, and hominids, is highly relevant to our understanding of the African roots of human beings. I would like to offer some reasons in support of the claim that it is relevant to understanding of our African roots. The first I'll be looking at is the evolutionary context. Placing humans within the animal kingdom highlight our evolutionary history and genetic connections to other living organisms, particularly primates and hominids. This context helps us to trace the evolutionary journey of humans from our common ancestors in Africa to modern Homo sapiens. The second reason I'll be offering is the shared traits. Recognizing humans as mammals underscores our shared psychological characteristics with other mammalian species such as warm-bloodedness, lactation, fur or hair that covers our skin. These shared traits provide insights into our biological adaptations and survival strategies, including those developed during the early African ancestry era. The next reason is the primate heritage. As primates, humans share numerous anatomical, behavioral, and cognitive traits with other primates, including dexterous hands, social behaviors, and complex communication systems. Understanding our primate heritage sheds some light on the origins of traits such as the use of tools, such as socialization and social organization, such as problem-solving abilities among early humans, especially in Africa. The next reason why I think the human classification is very important in this whole discourse of the origins of humanity is the hominid lineage. Placing humans within the hominid family highlights our close evolutionary relationships with extinct hominid species such as the Homo habilis, the Homo erectus, and even the Homo neanderthalensis. Many of these hominid species had significant interactions and migrations within Africa, contributing to the rich tapestry of human evolution from the continent of Africa. The next is our African origins. Africa is widely recognized as the birthplace of humanity, where our early ancestors evolved and diversified over millions of years. Understanding humans' classification within the broader framework of living things classification reinforces the significance of Africa as a cradle of human evolution and emphasizes the complex interactions within humans and their African environment. The last but not the least is the cultural and historical context beyond the biological classification, acknowledging Africa's role in the human origins discourse, which ranges from cultural to historical to archaeological dimensions. The study of the African roots of humans integrates genetics, integrates anthropology, integrates archaeology, integrates linguistics, and other disciplines to reconstruct the diverse narratives of human evolution and the migration across the African continent. So I would say that the classification of humans within the broader framework of the animal kingdom, along with their specific categorization as primates and hominids, is essential for contextualization, our understanding, and the deep African root of our human evolution, from diversity to the cultural heritage. The quest to understand where we come from is a fascinating exploration that draws upon a multitude of disciplines, discoveries, and insights from across the scientific and academic realms. At the heart of this discourse lies a web of interconnected sources of information, each contributing unique pieces to the puzzle of human origins. From ancient artifacts unearthed by archaeologists to cutting-edge genetic studies revealing our ancestral DNA, the sources of knowledge on human origins are vast and diverse. And what I'll be doing subsequently is to look at the various sources of information that would help us understand the origins of humanity. The first source of information I'll be looking at is scientific research. Peer-reviewed journals, scientific papers, and ongoing research in fields such as archaeology, anthropology, genetics, and evolutionary biology provide a solid foundation of empirical evidence and scholarly analysis. These studies offer insight into human evolution, migration patterns, genetic diversity, and technological advancement over time. The next I'll be looking at is archaeological discoveries. What is archaeology? Archaeology is a scientific study of the remains, and these remains can be artifacts, which is any handmade object such as pottery or flint, of the remains, which include features, human activities that affect the earth and are fixed to it, such as buildings, constructions, remains such as artifacts, natural objects found along with artifacts or features relating to past environment and how ancient people use the resources available to them. So, archaeology is a scientific study of these remains, and as I earlier on indicated, it includes artifacts, artifacts, and features of past human cultures that enable us to learn about pre-literate societies. Techniques and equipment to gather the evidence precisely and accurate by archaeologists includes, but are not limited to, foot survey, remote sensing instruments, imaging, and photographs. The basic steps that they use in interpreting any remains they discover are 1. Classification, 2. Archaeometry, and 3. Evaluation. The excavations from archaeologists or archaeological sites yield a treasure trove of artifacts, fossils, and ancient structures that offer glimpses into early human cultures, behaviors, and societal developments. These discoveries provide tangible evidences of human adaptation, innovation, and interactions with the environment. The next source I'll be looking at is genetic study. Advancement in genetic sequencing, DNA analysis, and population genetics enable researchers like us to trace human ancestry, to trace genetic mutation, to trace evolutionary relationships. One may ask, what is DNA? DNA is a molecule that encodes the genetic instructions used in the development and functioning of all living organisms. Genetic studies using mitochondrial DNA, Y chromosomes DNA, and autosomal DNA shed light on human migration routes, population movement, and genetic admixture. Do not forget that the sole aim of this episode is to unravel the origins of humanity. But what sources are we going to depend on in order to unravel the origins of humanity? I'm saying we can look at scientific research, archaeological discoveries, and genetic studies. But that is not. In addition to the aforementioned, another source of information is anthropological investigations. Anthropologists study human biological diversity, cultural practices, linguistic evolution, and social dynamics through the examination of skeletal remains, of cultural artifacts, of ethnographic field work amongst diverse populations. These investigations deepen our understanding of human adaptation, cultural heritage, and societal complexities. The next I'll be looking at is paleontological evidence. Fossil discoveries of early hominins, such as Australopithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthals, provide direct insights into human evolutionary transitions, anatomical changes, and adaptive strategies. What then are fossils? Fossils are the preserved remains, preserved impressions, preserved traces of a prehistoric plant or animal embedded in rock and preserved in a petrified form. Paleontologists reconstruct past environments, ecosystems, and ecological influences on human evolution through the analysis of fossilized remains. The last but not the least source that we'll be depending on as we piece together the evidences available in support of the claim that Africa is indeed the origin of humanity is historical records and digital resources. Ancient texts, historical records, oral traditions, and digital archives offer historical perspectives, cultural narratives, and contextual insights into human origins, migrations, and cultural exchanges. Digital resources includes online database, virtual museums, and educational platforms provide accessible avenues for exploring human evolutionary history and archaeological findings. So all in all, these are the main sources of information that we'll be looking at as we piece together the various premises in support of the conclusion that Africa is indeed the origin of humanity. My dear viewers, in the first part of this particular lecture series on Africa and the origins of humanity, I tried to place the whole discussion in context by looking at how living organisms have been classified and where humans belonged in this whole classification system, and the role of the human classification in the origin of humanity discourse, and the sources of information that would help us unravel the origins of humanity. This sets the pace for my part 2 on the topic pieces of evidence that support the African origin of humanity. I started by discussing how living organisms were classified into different categories based on their characteristics, with humans belonging to the order primate and family hominidae. This classification was crucial as it helped us to understand our evolutionary relationship with other species and our place in this whole system of the natural world. I then delved into the role of human classification in the discourse on the origin of humanity, highlighting how our understanding of human evolution has evolved over time. And this is where we can say kudos to specialists in paleontology, genetics, archaeology, and even oral tradition. This discussion emphasized the importance of interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary approach in studying human origins. In the final stage of this episode, I explored the sources of information that contribute to our knowledge of human evolution, from fossil records to genetic studies to cultural artifacts. I can go on. These diverse sources provided valuable insight into our past, and it helped us to piece together the puzzle of human origins. In conclusion, I would say that part 1 of this lecture series has effectively set the pace for a deeper exploration of the African roots of humanity in part 2. By examining how living organisms were classified, the significance of human classification in the evolutionary discussion, and the various sources of information available, I've laid a solid foundation for the understanding of the complexities of human evolution. Moving forward, part 2 will focus on presenting pieces of evidence that support the African theory or the African origin theory. And this will further enrich our understanding of our shared heritage and origins as a species. As we draw the curtains to a close on part 1 of my 2-part episode exploring Africa and the origins of humanity, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to each one of you for joining us in this particular episode. But before we part ways, I have a special invitation for you. If you have not already, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. By subscribing, you stay updated on our latest episode. I guess you don't want to miss. And do not forget to ring the notification bell. By this way, you'll be the first to know when a new episode is released, making sure you do not miss a beat in our exploration of classical history and humanity. Lastly, I invite you to join our growing community of classical history enthusiasts. Whether you are a seasoned scholar or beginning your journey on ancient studies, our community is a place where you can come together to discuss, learn, and share our passion about the past. So what are you waiting for, my dear viewers? Subscribe, ring the notification bell, and join the community. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the wonders of classics. Thank you, and see you all in part 2.